We are live. Welcome, guys, back to another edition of the Earle Sports Bet Show. I'm Timothy Earle, and yes, I'm back. It's been what is today? Wednesday, Friday. I think it's been about a week since I did my last show. I appreciate everybody who commented on my post. Obviously, last time I did a show was actually last Saturday. No, not even last Saturday because we went to the bowl game. It was the 26th I did my last show. Then we went to the bowl game. Then I wasn't doing a show on Sunday. And then on Sunday, I got the news. And then I just didn't, with everything going on with that, it was just it was just a couple of days of nothing. So I appreciate everybody sticking by. And I'm back now. So, and we'll be doing shows. And to make it up for you guys, on Sunday, I will be doing a show, and it'll be a longer show because on Sunday I'll be sweating out the 1:00 games for the NFL card, and we'll see how the show is going. We'll be going into the NFL into the 4:00 card. I'll probably end up going from about 1:00 area to about 5:30 area because then I have to go pick Des up at work I'll be live for a couple hours on Sunday, sweating out the last week because we are still currently first place in the Pub Sports Radio contest, and I want to be able to sweat out that with you guys. We could possibly hold on and maybe win that tournament. So I'm excited for that. But today's show, we'll be talking over what happened in college football because we have our Final Four, and yes, it's exactly the 4 teams everybody expected. Well, maybe 2 of the teams people expected. 2 of the teams, maybe not. But we'll talk over those games. Before we jump into it, we start off the year with a winning day, and we actually went 4-0 in the games for the college football playoff. Oregon and Texas Tech finished 23-0. We're going to talk over all those games in a minute, but under that game, under 50.5 winner. Ottawa, team total over. So they scored 4 goals against the Washington Capitals. So it was a nice win for them there. Indiana, we'll talk about that one in a minute. Winner. The Kings blow a game late. Minus 125 for the Kings at home. Did not get there. Canes, what the heck happened to the Hurricanes? I will say they got the first period. They won the first period. They did not come close to winning the game. They lost 7-5 against Montreal. And what was a crazy-ass game. Ole Miss, we'll talk about them in a minute. I had Ole Miss. Dallas, I thought, would bounce back and have a good first period after losing 4-1 to the Sabres. They did not. I had one play in college basketball with Montana State, -3, winner there, and I had Seattle to end the night, which was a nice winner. We started off the 2026 year up 4.3 units. On a nice little run the last month. If you guys are interested in all of that stuff, I still need to track my plays. If you guys are interested in any of that stuff, there is a bunch of stuff over at picksandparleys.net. That's there. I will say, anybody watching on TikTok, hi TikTok. I'm currently live on you guys right now, but we'll see how long that lasts because TikTok loves to ban me for talking about sports. And I mean, certain stuff that I do with the sports. But if you guys are in, if the stream goes away, you guys can go ahead and check me out at Earle Sports Bets on YouTube. That's where you can find me as well, doing the same exact show. So you got that. I do have some picks scrolling across the bottom of the screen on YouTube. Anybody watching on TikTok, I like SMU today versus Arizona. That is in the bowl game tonight. I don't remember what bowl game that is off the top of my head. I'm going to pull that up now. because that is the Holiday Bowl. I'm taking SMU in the Holiday Bowl tonight. I took the Cavaliers on minus 13. So I mentioned to you guys. So when we see certain NBA teams, and I see this with a bunch of different sports as well, when a team loses their star player, aka Nikola Jokic, normally the first game without your star player is a good game. And I took the Nuggets against Toronto, and they won outright. Normally, game number 2 of not having your star player, that's normally the ugly game. And I see this one as the ugly game for the Denver Nuggets. I grabbed, I think Cleveland wins. I think Cleveland wins by a lot. I think it's just gonna be an ugly game for my Nuggets, and I'm a Nuggets fan. And I took Cleveland minus 13. In college basketball, I like FIU. I took FIU today. They are facing. Where were they? FIU. They're facing New Mexico State. I just like the spot for them. I'm not super high on New Mexico State. I like FIU. And then we are going to be looking at the Winter Classic game as well. And I took it to be a low-scoring first period because I could see this, and we see this with a lot of Winter Classic games. I could see it getting off to a slow start and then speeding up afterwards. So I will say that's why I took first period to be slow, not full game. I just see it as a game that can be a little bit of a slower start and then pick up later on in the game. So that's what those are the free picks that are scrolling across the bottom of my YouTube stream. If you guys are interested in that, Earle Sports Bets on YouTube. I'm currently punching in because I forgot to track my plays on BetStamp. I'm doing that now. And then we'll talk over the what happened in college football because it was a weekend. And we had some upsets that I know some people probably didn't expect. I will say I did expect a couple of them, so we'll talk over that. That's first period. But make sure if you guys have any questions about some of the games today, make sure you leave them in the chat, and I will talk them over. Oh, sorry, Nicholas Handy, welcome, and Mike Doe, praying for you, bro. Keep your head up. Yep, doing better now. But yeah, it was definitely a week. It was definitely a week. We got them and them. Okay, now I can go quickly put these in. Appreciate the patience for you guys. But we could start on a Nets game locked up. Any clue why? I'll be honest, not a clue. I did not touch anything in that Nets game. That one looked like a very, very ugly game. So I personally, sorry, Fernando, I did not take anything in that Nets game. The only things I took in the NBA today is I faded my Nuggets. I think they get blown out, and I what else did I grab in the NBA? The Orlando Magic. I like the Orlando Magic today. We could start off with the Friday night game, and this is a game that probably a lot of people didn't expect an upset. I know a lot of people loved Ohio State going into that game, and I personally took Miami. I took Miami plus 9.5. They went outright. Big win for Carson Beck and Miami. They kind of just dominated the game. It wasn't the Buckeyes didn't get anything going until late in the second quarter. Just an overall just dominant game for the Miami Hurricanes after their big win in the previous game. Against Texas A&M. So just a complete kind of stomping for not stomping, but like it was not really that close of a game. I know it shows a 10-point game. Miami had control of that game. They really did. And we saw it from start to beginning. And honestly, I could see Miami even moving on. This is a Miami team that looks good right now, and I do think after a 24-14 win against Ohio State, giving Ohio State their second loss of the year, Miami is dangerous, and I think that's going to be a pretty close game. I gotta look up what I want to see what the spread is between them and Ole Miss. That game is going to be on. Oh, wow. Actually, Miami's favorited. Miami's a favorite. Oh, that's intriguing. That's interesting. Miami's a 3-point favorite in that game against Ole Miss on January 8th. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that one. Fernando back in the YouTube chat saying, big move on the Wizards. I'll have to look into that one a little bit later. I have not looked. I looked at that game, but I didn't really like anything much in that one. But big line movement on the Wizards, so interesting there. In terms of Oregon versus Texas Tech, Oregon, completely shut them out. 23-0 in that Texas Tech game. I knew it was going to be an under game. I expected Texas Tech to put up a little bit more of a fight, especially because, and once again, a weird line movement. Oregon went from a 2.5-point favorite to a 1.5-point dog pregame. And that was a very interesting to see. I was not expecting to see that, and ultimately it did not matter. So, very interesting there. Oregon up 3-0 at the end of the first, 6-0 at the end of at halftime, and they won 23-0. Just a complete dominant game by Oregon. Oregon goes and faces off against Indiana, who absolutely shit-stomped Alabama. SEC. The SEC and bowl games have been a complete mess. And it's actually kind of funny to watch. I'm going to go pull up bowl games. I'm going to pull up SEC. Because we'll dive back into the Alabama game in a minute. Let's see the SEC games that SEC wins for bowl games. Alabama versus Oklahoma. I don't count that one. If you're beating your own conference, doesn't count. Ole Miss against Tulane. Okay. And now Ole Miss is to the final, so we at least got that. Texas A&M loses to Miami. Miami looks good now. Missouri loses to Virginia. LSU loses to Houston. Tennessee loses to Illinois. Texas beats Michigan. Cool. They got Texas. Iowa beats Vanderbilt. Alabama gets the brakes beaten off of them by Indiana. And then the last game is Ole Miss and Georgia. Like, Ole Miss gets the win, Georgia gets the loss. It's an SEC versus SEC. It doesn't really matter. So very interesting to see the not successful run for the SEC in bowl games. Because they've been horrible. They've been absolutely horrible. But Alabama, that game was 17-0 at halftime. It was 24-3 at the end of the third. Indiana tacks on 2 touchdowns, makes it 38-3 final. Just an absolute blowout. Final game of the night. How about Ole Miss? I love the story of Ole Miss. Like this is a lot of fun to watch because this is like the one SEC team that is kind of like the underdog story. And why are they the underdog story? Their coach left them. Their coach left them before the playoff run, which is absolutely crazy. And then they go and they beat Tulane, which Tulane was a good Group of 5 school. And then they go and beat Georgia, a team that they lost to earlier in the year. That actually their only loss in the year was to Georgia. Ole Miss 13-1 now. They're 2 wins away from to winning the national championship for the first time in their program history. They are 3-point dogs against Miami, which can kind of tell us a little bit. But Ole Miss was also a 6.5-point dog against Georgia. Like, I'm not worried about Ole Miss at all. I think Ole Miss definitely has a shot to beat Miami. And then they go up against either Indiana or Oregon, which that's going to be a hell of a matchup. Oregon's only loss was to Indiana. So that's going to be a really fun matchup. I have a feeling, though, the winner of Indiana and Oregon wins the Natty. But that Miami game is going to be a lot more fun to watch than Oregon, Indiana, in my opinion. But big weekend in college football. Miami, Ole Miss, Oregon, and Indiana are going to be your final 4. What do I think about the Kraken today? That was the one game I did not bet in the NHL. So good job. I'm not backing the Kraken on a back-to-back. They have not been a good back-to-back team this year. If I remember right, they have not won a back-to-back game all year. So not really a spot that I want to look at. So I'm going to say no to the Seattle Kraken. But it's kind of hard to want to back them right now. Big card tomorrow. Holy crap. Big card in the NHL tomorrow. There's even a 3 o'clock game. Sabres play at 3. That's fun. Anyways, real quick, I want to tag on I'm Sabres. How about the Sabres back in a wild card spot to end the year? I love that. 10 wins in a row. Sorry, I'm excited for that one. I'm a Sabres fan. And they got 2 games in hand against the Washington Capitals for that first wild card spot, which is nice to see. They are 2 games back of Montreal and Tampa Bay. 2 points back of Montreal, 3 points back of Tampa Bay, 4 points back of, or 6 points back of the Red Wings. They got 2 games in hand against the Red Wings. They got 1 game in hand against both Tampa and Montreal. Buffalo, be careful. This seems fun. I think that ultimately Detroit's going to end up starting to fall soon. But anyways, I will mention, and I'll talk for a little bit longer because we are going to be looking at a little bit in the NFL. I'm going to pull up the odds on that one to see if any lines have moved anything crazy. That's actually back up to a 3, so that might be a little bit scary for the Panthers. I have a feeling Nick's going to be right with that one because we were talking back and forth on because he thinks he likes the Bucks. That Bucks Panthers game is weird because that one was a 2.5. It's jumped up to a 3. I don't know. I have the Panthers win total over. I also have their them to win the division, which they can. Panthers can still win the division if the Falcons win. So that's a game to look at as well in terms of that. That line's moved interesting. I think Seattle beats the Niners and gets the 1 seed. Niners look great, but they're coming off of a big win in what was like the game of the year in that Monday night or Sunday night game against the Bears. I think it's probably a bad spot for the Niners. I like Seattle to get that 1 seed. So Seattle's probably going to be a play that I like. I'm not really sure about that Carolina game now. I'm not really a big fan of the Panthers. Watching that line move. I'm going to end up taking them off my list. Colts and Texans. I feel like that's Colts or nothing. I feel like that could be a Colts bounce, not bounce back, but backdoor cover type of game that Houston starts scoring, but then they look at the scoreboard, see the Jaguars are up 2 scores on the Tennessee Titans and not care anymore. Could definitely be a spot there. And then the Colts kind of just come back, make a little bit of a backdoor cover type of thing. I don't think the Colts went outright. I think that's crazy to say. But I think the Texans probably win, but I don't think they blow them out. Jacksonville and Tennessee, I feel like that's Titans or nothing. But once again, I could easily see the Titans or the Jaguars win similar to what they did versus the Jets a couple weeks ago, where that game ended up finishing 48-20 in a game that they were 14-point favorites. They're 13.5 now against Tennessee. I could see that one being a blowout, to be completely honest. And by the way, it's week 18. It's going to be a tricky week. Although, I will mention this one right off the rip. My favorite spot on Sunday is the Bengals. I know it's 2 teams that don't matter because they're both eliminated. I'm taking Cincinnati in a blowout. This is a team that has actually looked like this Cincinnati team, since getting eliminated, has won 45-21 and 37-14. They're putting up points. Joe Burrow actually looks good. And even besides the Baltimore game, Joe Burrow has looked good in the 3 other games that he's played. Against Buffalo, Cincinnati put up 34 points. Against Miami, 45 points. And against Arizona, 37 points. So this is a Cincinnati Bengals team that looks good. And they've been putting up points up against the Browns, who just won against the Steelers. That was their Super Bowl right there. And now that was them at home, final game at home. Like, let's show up. I think this one's going to get ugly. I think this is going to be Cleveland kind of giving up on the year after that big win versus Pittsburgh. I really like the spot for Cincinnati. Really, really, really like the spot for Cincinnati. And then there's a couple of weird lines. Like, the Giants are now at 3.5. That line opened up a lot bigger against Dallas. Kind of tells me that the Giants could continue to kill their tank. Cowboys can kind of be throwing in the towel. That once again they won their game on Christmas. I feel like that could be like their last hoorah type of deal, like similar to the Cleveland Browns. Dallas won their game on Christmas. They're like, all right, we're good to go. Let's head into next season. The last game does not matter. And the Giants still can be playing for something like that. Like they're continuing to play Jackson Dart, so they're not tanking. I don't know. I like the Giants. I like the Giants against the Cowboys. I think the Giants win against the Cowboys. I know that sounds crazy, but I do like the spot for the Giants. Saints and the Falcons. And by the way, we will talk over these games again tomorrow. These are kind of my first looks. Mike Doe is asking, the line movement for the Kraken game is crazy. Yeah, I'm not touching them in the back-to-back. But 170 open and they're down to that. So maybe that's telling you Kraken. They've been playing better as of late. I had the Kraken last night, but not really anything I want to get involved with. And Ice X, how's it going? The Falcons and the Saints could be a playoff, non-playoff game. I know that sounds crazy. This Saints-Falcons game can mean everything or nothing. It can mean everything if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers win on Saturday. Because if Tampa Bay wins on Saturday, Carolina needs the Falcons to win because the Falcons beat the Rams. If the Carolina Panthers win on Saturday, this game means nothing. But Tampa Bay needs to win, and they need they need the Saints to beat Atlanta. So you need 2 things if you're the Buccaneers. Carolina, win and take care of business, or Atlanta could win and you also get in. But that would be an ugly division winner. But I like Atlanta. Line went from 3 to 3.5. I like the spot for it. Normally, this 3.5 home favorite number is pretty strong. I like the Atlanta Falcons. Ravens or Steelers? Give me the Ravens. I strongly feel that if the Steelers wanted to clinch the division, obviously their best spot to do it was last week against the Browns. They didn't capitalize on that one, and I think that's going to bite them in the ass. Because all of a sudden they go from, man, they could have sat Aaron Rodgers and they could have looked towards the playoffs. No, now you have to play a Sunday night game, do or die, and they're 3.5-point dog. I like the Ravens. I think the Ravens finally get their way in. And if the Ravens get into the playoffs, I know they would be a 9-8 team. But this Ravens team can still be dangerous in the playoffs. Like, I could still see the Ravens. They would host one of the wild card teams. Most likely, they're going to host Texans, Houston. But I still would like the spot for the Ravens against the Texans. And if the Ravens make it in, I feel like they would be the team that I would trust the most in the AFC. I know it sounds great. Them or the Bills. And they wouldn't have to play each other until the AFC Championship game. I think we're going to, if the Ravens win on Sunday night, I think we're going to end up getting Ravens-Bills in the AFC Championship game. I know it sounds crazy. That's what I kind of like. So I like the Ravens. I do. Packers and Vikings. That one's a 7.5. I think the Vikings take care of business. This is a Green Bay team that's sitting everybody. Is it a spot that I really want to go and do anything with? Probably not. It's Vikings or nothing though. All right, I like this one. I like the spot even more now. And I was worried about it because Buffalo and New York. Buffalo opened up at a 14. I saw that drop to a 6.5. DK now has it at an 8.5. So I do like the spot a little bit more for the Bills. Once again, this is a Jets team that's given up. This is a Bills team that is going to be playing their last home game in that stadium because they're most likely not going to be hosting any playoff games this year, which is crazy to say. Is there a chance that in order to host a playoff game, the Bills would need to win either a Texans or Chargers loss and then some chaos in the playoffs? So, no, the Bills are most likely not hosting a playoff game, especially after they lost to the Eagles last week. Winning against the Eagles would have been the only shot that they had. So keep that one in mind there. So last game for them in the stadium, I see this one as a Bills runaway game. So I like the Bills. Get them at whatever number you can. I think it could be a double-digit win for them. I don't care that the line moved down. It's going to be a show-up spot for them. Dolphins and Patriots. Patriots have already clinched the division. They're playing for the number 1 seed, but at the same time, you got the Denver Broncos who are 13-point favorites against the Chargers. Like, both those teams are going to win, so these games practically mean nothing. But I could also see it as a Patriots want to go into the playoffs looking good. And how can they do that? How about like a 31-10 win against a 31-10 win against Miami? I can honestly see something like that. So I would lean New England in this one. And I was actually looking at some numbers. The double-digit favorites in Week 18 have actually been better than the dogs, especially home favorites over road favorites. Have been better at covering, because I know a lot of people will look at the number and go, oh, wow, big numbers. Let me just grab the points. Not always the case. I think New England could probably win by double digits and cover the spread. I would think New England now. I would think New England. Danny, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. Hopefully it's a nice and profitable year for us. And And hopefully it starts off really good on Sunday with the PSR contest. Which I will say, I put my placeholders in. Well, actually, I'm not going to tell you who my placeholders in because that might be a bad idea if somebody else is if anybody is watching from the contest, because I'm currently in first place in the contest. So we'll talk about that one when we get into the thing. Although they know I know one of my plays. But Danny's asking, I see the FIU pick. Do you have another good late college basketball game to go with it? Sure. I will say I'll be posting the card for the members later on, but I'll give you Wazoo minus 2.5, Danny. I'm betting Oregon to beat Indiana and Ole Miss to beat Miami. Roberts. I could see those. I could definitely see those. You're betting both dogs. Honestly, I think if you took both of them outright, I think one of them wins. At least one of them wins. But honestly, I will be looking into that one a little bit more come the next couple of days, because that's not until the 8th. I want to see how the market matures over those two games. So we'll go from there. But I'm not going to talk you off of them right now. So I actually really, if I'm going after any of them, Ole Miss. If I'm going after any of those, Ole Miss. That would be my look. We had a couple more games that I wanted to tag on. Eagles versus Commanders. I kind of leaned Eagles. This line plummeted. I think it was like a 10.5, 12 area, and it dropped to 4.5. Something tells me there's not going to be any players playing, but I can't pull the trigger on Washington, so I'm not going to do anything with that one. Denver and Chargers. It's a 12.5. Could it be very similar to last year when the Broncos needed to win to get in, and they played the Chiefs who didn't care? Same exact spot, and the Broncos won 31-0. Sure, it could be very similar to that game. Is it worth me taking? No. Lions and the Bears. I actually really like this spot. I like the Lions. Dan Campbell's not going to roll over and die after they got eliminated, and especially going after the Bears and his former coach. No. I think the Lions stick it to the Bears. I think there's a decent chance that the Lions win outright in that game. I like the spot for Detroit. I know it's went from 2.5 to 3. I don't really care about line movement as much this week. So Rams and Cardinals doesn't really matter, but that being a 7.5 kind of tells me that the Rams winning cover. You can possibly get a pissed off Rams team, although they're guaranteed a wild card spot. So I don't really know what they're guaranteed, that 6 seed. There's not really any place for them to go otherwise. Actually, I guess they're not guaranteed the 6 seed. I don't really know what the tiebreaker is. Let me quickly NFL playoff predictor. Because I'm actually genuinely curious on whether or not the I don't think the Rams can move up. Rams win, and the Seahawks win. All right. If Rams win, Seahawks win, then the Rams can get up to the 5 seed. If not, then the Angels. The Rams are pretty much guaranteed that 6 seed. Well, no, pretty much on. But does it really matter? I guess they could look at it and go, man, if the 49ers win or if the Seahawks win, get the 1 seed on Saturday night, the Rams can look at it and go, all right, let's win so we can go play Carolina/Tampa Bay instead of going and having to play Philadelphia. That's fair to say, but honestly, this one might come down to looking at it afterwards. Where? Oh, what the heck? I had this up. Chiefs and the Raiders. Who cares? Chiefs probably win, but I don't really think it matters. I don't really think it matters. And then I already talked about over the Ravens game. I got you, Danny. 49ers have a lot to play for to get home field advantage through the entire playoffs. I agree. Robert, just to let you know, Seattle has the exact same deal. Seattle wins, they have the 1 seed. The 49ers win, they have the 1 seed. If they tie, it goes to Seattle. But like that game means the 1 seed and it means the division. So that game is obviously a huge game on Saturday night. So yes, the Niners have a lot to play for. So does Seattle. The fact that Seattle's favored on the road tells me everything. But we'll talk over. We'll do that in a minute. I still think the Panthers get in because even if the Bucks win, I think the Falcons win. So give the Panthers the division. Them doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I have a feeling it could be a decent amount of chalk. To be honest. At the end of the day, a lot of it doesn't really matter. But that is going to be it for today's show. I'll be live again tomorrow. We'll talk over. We'll tag on a couple more NFL games. I'll probably put up the NFL plays tomorrow as well up on the site, or they might be up already by the time that happens. But that is pretty much it for today's show. I'll be back again tomorrow, and I'll be back on Sunday when we go live from about 1 o'clock-ish, depending on when I get home from work and everything, to about 5:30. We'll live sweat some of the 1 o'clock games. Dan Steves in the TikTok chat saying, how often do you hit? This year in the NFL, my record is 128 and 97 and 1, and I'm up 26.63 units. So this year has been a really good year. This year has been a really good year. And by the way, those are 1 unit plays. I'm not one of those that are 10 units on this and 20 units on this. I have 1 2-unit play in there. But we go from there. What's the plays for this Sunday? I don't have my complete card yet. I know that the Bengals will be involved. I know that the Bengals will be involved. I know the Ravens will be involved. Everything else is kind of up in the air for right now. I'm going to kind of really dive into it more tomorrow. So join the show tomorrow, Dan. I'm also live on YouTube on Earle Sports Bets. So I'll be live there as well. If you're interested in, if you got any other questions and stuff, I'll be diving into more of the market stuff tomorrow, line movements, all that stuff, and really dive in and finalize my card for this weekend. So that's what I'll do tomorrow in terms of NFL. And then Sunday we'll sweat out and, currently first place in the PSR contest. I'm 50 and 35 this year, in that contest, similar to the Circa. Having a nice run in that, currently in first place by a point. So hopefully we can get the job done there. But I'll be live again tomorrow. We'll dive even more into the NFL for week 18. I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.